Welcome to a very special episode of UCRD Reviews. So today I have this massive box, and inside the massive box is the MSN-04II Nightingale Heavy Paint Specification. So this is Char's final mobile suit from Mobile Suit Gundam Char's Counterattack Beltotchica's Children. So the Nightingale is basically the novel version of the Sazabi. Just like the High New Gundam is the novel version of the New Gundam. Now, the Nightingale has never had a figure. That could possibly be because of the sheer size of it, the design, many other factors. But the Robot Spirits line decided to finally give it a figure. And it's huge. It's not part of the KA signature or Metal Robot Spirits or anything like that. It's just a regular figure, but it's massive. So I mean, this is a regular box, and that's what it is up against it. I mean, it absolutely dwarfs it. I actually have it even here on the side, and it's just huge. It barely fits in my frame. You have this cool bit on top here, which shows the Nightingale. You have the side here, which has the cool Neo Zeon emblem. That's the back. I mean, the thing's massive. I'm really excited that they decided to make the Nightingale. It's a really neat design. It's a really complex design, so it's going to be interesting to see how they accomplish this. But let's go ahead and get it opened up and take a look at it. So real quick, now that I got the figure out of the box and I was able to turn it, this is the other side of the box that I didn't show, which has a really cool photo of the Nightingale on it. But I'm really excited to see the figure, so let's get to it. Alright, so here's the figure in the blister package here. You can see that it's upright. It's actually so huge that it's not stored like a standard Robot Spirits figure. So let's make an attempt at getting it out of here real quick. So there goes the plastic pieces that are protecting it. So we're going to get those out of the way. So you see the big binders back here that hold the funnels are protected. And you have this piece here, so you can actually separate it on one side, and it should just slide right out. Now we're going to put the Nightingale over here. So we're going to pop these pieces out. These are the propellant tanks. And we're going to take some of this off of here, get it out of the way, because this thing is so huge I'm now working with a limited space. So this is it. This is the Nightingale. So let's go ahead and put the propellant tanks on here. So they're going to go on the back in these holes here. And they're just going to attach right like that. They are ball jointed. There we go. So this thing is huge. It's so huge and unwieldy that I don't really even know how to hold it. There's lots of points on it. Ton of detail. I mean, an absolute ton. You have all kinds of like little writing, and every thruster is painted. I'm really struggling on where to hold this thing. The head looks nice. So the head can actually, let's see if I can do this, be removed like so. This piece is incredibly fragile, and you don't get any replacement, so be very, very careful with this. The mono eye, I don't know if you can see it right there. The mono eye can actually move like so. So you can just kind of adjust it however you want, and then you put this whole thing back very carefully. But I mean, it's really nice looking. The paint on it and everything's good. They have the cannon there where you can kind of open it up like that. The head has kind of a limited articulation, obviously given the design of it. But it's really neat looking. You know, you have the parts in the arms there. The hands are kind of limited. It looks like they can hinge a little bit. Can't really tell if it's super stiff or not. The arm articulation is actually really interesting, so you don't actually see a joint, like kind of no matter where the arm is. And you gotta, if you pull it way up there, you can kind of see the gap, but that's about it. But you have all these neat insignias all over it. I mean, it just looks amazing. Let's see if I can transfer it to my other hand here. There we go. So you have that NZ99 with the NZ looking very eerily like a real world insignia that we all know and hate. You have lots and lots of cool stuff here. You have Neo Zeon. So the shoulders move pretty well. They don't get in the way of the arms at all. So you can lift up the side skirt armor pieces. And you have some really neat detail in there. And then these can actually, I think they go like that. They rub a little bit. And then you have the little manipulator arms that are inside of here, if I can get one out. And so it's all hinged, and it can actually hold the beam sabers and move around. So I'm going to go ahead and put it back in there. And then you just fold it like that, and it comes down. Now for some reason, this one rubs right here. This one doesn't. I don't know why that is. You do have waist articulation, as you can see. Now down here in the legs, if we can get down here, you do have knee articulation and hip articulation, just like normal. Obviously very limited. The feet, or the toes rather, can move. You have the thrusters here. You have all this. This is all metal you see in here. It's not classified as a metal robot spirits, but it's got a lot of metal joints in it. Not all of them are. So then back here, these big fuel pods here can actually come down and move around. You also have, back here, you have this big old landing gear piece, which can come down. And then you just put it up and push it in, and it'll fold away. And then these can just clip back into place, kind of. Maybe not. There we go. So it's really cool. Most of the thrusters look fixed in place. I do worry about this big chunk right here. I don't know how well it's clipped in there. I apologize, this thing is so massive it just takes up the entire camera space. I'm trying to do this so that I have it out far enough that you can see it, but at the same time, my arms are only so long. So you can turn the big funnel boot binders right here, wings, whatever you want to call them, and they have all kinds of detail underneath here. I mean, they just look amazing. So I mean, there's just quite a bit to this. So let's take a look at some of the stuff it comes with real quick. So now that we have the Nightingale out of the box, let's go ahead and check out some of the accessories here. And the first thing I want to look at is actually underneath this tray. So we're going to move this one to the side. And what I want are all these little funnels that are here. So you get a whole bunch of these little guys. You get 10 of them. And we're going to orient this so that you can see they just clip right into the wing binders here, like so. And you'll just go through and attach them all. And they can fit on there. They don't get any flying effects or anything like that, but I mean, they serve their purpose. They just kind of sit on here. So it's really neat that they included those, but let's actually check out the stand real quick. Let's see here. So this is the Nightingale's massive stand. So this is the base of it. It is huge. It's taller than the figure itself. And it comes with lots and lots of components. So let's check out everything real quick. Alright, so to make the stand here, we need a few pieces. So we're going to use this base piece and this one here. Now this one's actually pretty cool, so they have a neat idea with it. You can actually take a piece like this, which we'll use later, and store it. You just store it in this orientation right in there, which is pretty cool. You also can store this piece, again, which we'll use later, right inside like that. So you don't have to go back to the box of the Nightingale or whatever to get your pieces, which is pretty neat. Now the other two pieces we need here are this little piece right here and this one here. So what you want to do is take the stand, which is this big giant thing here, and you're going to put the base piece down here. So the base piece fits like that. You just throw it to the ground. Now it fits in here and then in this peg as well. And it kind of holds everything together. And then you plug this piece on top of it. And then this one, I believe, goes in this orientation. So once you have that, you're going to take this piece here, and that one's going to get plugged in right here. And this piece that you saw before just slides right on over, and that's the entire stand here. So now that I have the Nightingale on the stand, basically what you do here is there's actually a hard point right on the bottom of the Nightingale right here, and that connects into that piece. And then the back piece that we saw here earlier, you actually pull out the landing gear, and it just kind of clips in and just hangs there. You do have to be careful with this one because this top of the stand piece slides in and out of place. So if you move the Nightingale too much, it'll slide off and just drop the whole back. So you do have to be kind of careful with that. But otherwise the stand actually works really, really well, and it holds up this massive figure. So this is the alternate setting for the stand. So this is that curved piece that we saw earlier with the front piece on it, and this is the alternate block that was up in here with the end piece on it as well. So let's see what the Nightingale looks like with it on there. Alright, so this is the alternate way to display the Nightingale. So it's kind of more forward leaned. This is also its kind of its cruising mode. It has the binders upright, everything's leaned forward, the legs are back. It is just an absolutely gorgeous figure. Now the stand is a little frustrating, so I did everything off camera because while the front piece is really easy to connect to the Nightingale, this rear piece, you actually have to kind of push the back binder into that little slot that it has up at the top. There's a ledge on the back binder that you push it into. The problem is, as you're pushing it in there, that's also the direction that the top of the stand piece comes off. So all you do is end up pushing it off of the stand piece about 18 times before you figure it out. So once you get used to it, it's a little easier, but initially it's pretty frustrating. but the end result is just amazing. So actually, while we're talking about the stand, one more accessory you get is this clear piece, which is another like a mini stand, and you get one of these and then these little pieces here. So what it turns into is a little stand piece that you can use to hold up, you know, various parts of the Nightingale, or really whatever you want, and they can actually plug into many of the points here in the main stand. You do get two of them, and I would primarily use them to hold up the rifle, but you can kind of use them for whatever you want. So this is really neat that it was included. They didn't really have to do this, but I'll show it in action later on in the video. So going into the accessories here, we have several different pieces. These are the hands that you get. So they're shaped in an interesting fashion, but they look really good. And you get these here, which are more of your, I suppose, beam saber type. And then you get, you get these two, which are just kind of standard posing hands. And you get a single rifle hand. And you know, it kind of connects at the wrist back here. Now you also get 4 beam sabers. So they're all identical, they all look like this. Very similar to the Suzabi's, which is pretty cool. So one neat thing you can do with the beam sabers, I'm going to go ahead and move the Nightingale into the frame here, is you can actually take its arm, I can turn it a little bit, and there's a storage space right here. I know it's kind of on the side of the camera there, but you can push that all the way down in there and store the beam saber handle in the wrists, which is pretty cool. Now you also get 2 tomahawks, the beam tomahawks. So this is the deployed one, and you get the one that is stored. So with the deployed one, you actually have 2 of these blades. So you can take these, and I believe they connect right like that. And they just fit right in like so. So you have a pretty flashy little design right there. Looks really good. Now you also have this massive blade, which can actually plug right down into the tomahawk like so, and it is huge. It is much taller than any mobile suit that I have, but it looks amazing. It's made out of a really neat transparent, or slightly transparent yellow plastic, and they did a really good flare effect on the whole thing, so I really like this piece. So the next accessory here is the shield. The shield is pretty large. Again, you know, everything is. It actually says MSN-04II on here. Has the Neo Zeon emblem. Has the missiles up front here. And it's pretty detailed in here as well. So it actually has a whole like arm that it utilizes, which is ball jointed. And it can be moved up or down. And it actually has a metal joint in here, and then the rest of this kind of unfolds, and this is what actually plugs into the arm, and I'll show that in a second. But you can also take your stored tomahawk here and kind of put it right like that, and it'll stay put. So it's a really, really neat design. So with the shield here, we're going to very carefully move the Nightingale into frame again. So you're actually going to pop off this panel on the arm. And the shield has the connector piece right here. And it just kind of pops right in. I can lift this thing. There we go. And it'll just pop right like that. It actually fits snug with the arm. And then with all the joints in here, I mean, you can really arrange the shield however you like. But it works really, really well. It's a nice looking, very detailed shield. So I'm really happy with it. So the last thing here is actually the rifle. So we're going to take a look at that. The rifle, I guess like everything else at this point, is massive. It's very, very different from the Sazabi's rifle in the anime. It actually has this working bipod down here. I mean, it just has a lot of detail. You have the little green in there. You have this side canister, this very large protruding magazine, the silver handle, the cables that are running all through here. It is all one big solid piece. It's not very heavy at all. It's just really long. They made it out of a, it feels like it's kind of hollow. So they made it pretty light, but let's see what it looks like on the Nightingale real quick. Alright, so I reconfigured the stand and I have the rifle attached here. So here's the only problem I foresee. As light as the rifle is, it does droop. It doesn't look like they made the shoulders quite reinforced enough to hold this thing up, unfortunately. However, there is an easy fix. Not everybody would love it, but you know, those little stand arms that they included actually help with holding up the rifle, among other things. So you are able to pose it, you know, in a shooting position like this. You just need a little bit of support with it. The shield is actually pretty heavy too. It doesn't necessarily run into the exact same issues. So you can pose the arm up a little easier because the weight's more balanced. But with the rifle, you know, everything's forward. You know, all the weight is kind of up here. So that's kind of why you run into that weight issue. But, you know, it can be alleviated with pieces like that. So one thing I wanted to go over real quick before I continue is the sub arms here in the Nightingale. If I can get access to them. They actually, I didn't show this earlier, but they can actually come forward and backward to allow for more movement, which is pretty cool. And when you're storing them, if I can flip this around, there's actually a little hard point right there that connects into this peg that's in the side here. So if you're having trouble storing them, pay attention to that, and that may help you out. So that's pretty much all I have to say for the Nightingale. Now that we've looked at it and examined it, you can tell why they went and made a commercial for it. I mean, it is a massive figure. It's a gorgeous looking figure. It's way above a normal Robot Spirits figure, even though it's technically in that line. They put a lot of work, a lot of detail in it. It's an innovative figure. I mean, there's, you know, metal joints in it, even though it's not a metal Robot Spirits. The stand is completely unique. I mean, it's really neat looking. You can tell where they got the massive price tag for it. So speaking of price tag, you know, I picked it up for I think about $265 shipped. So if you can find it for that price, or maybe even a little more, I'd say all the way to $300, it's absolutely worth it. I mean, the figure is just absolutely gorgeous. If you're one of those weird people who can call robot toys gorgeous, like me, it's Comes with all the accessories it needs. It is a showpiece at any angle. It's fragile as can be, so that is a factor you want to consider. You know, if you have kids in the household or your cousins come over or something, make sure this thing is locked away, because if it takes one spill, you have a $300 paperweight. But I mean, the detail in here is incredible. It looks, you know, like one of those high-end model kits, but it's a robot spirits figure, and it's a heavy paint specification, so that again means most of the pieces on here are painted instead of molded, and it shows. It really shows. Again, this is like above and beyond a normal robot spirits figure. So if you're able to pick this thing up for a decent price, even if it's not a decent price and you just really, really want it and you manage to find it, get it, because it's worth every penny. It'll be the best thing in your collection. So thank you for watching this review. I'll be posting some more shortly. Thanks for the support, everybody, and I'll see you next time.